it sends a message that the president is continuing to rewrite history, and in so doing, also dramatically and disastrously impact the president. So in other words, what we had in the White House today was a cinematic ambush, if you will.
Something very familiar about all this.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for watching. I know I'm a few days late on President Trump's meeting with the South African president and the media's utter meltdown over it, but I saw this segment from Anderson Cooper last night and I wanted to share it with you all because while I don't agree what's happening in South Africa is a genocide, I find the media's reaction to all of this just so typical of what happens when one of their narratives is challenged.
Johannesburg bureau chief for the New York Times, who was in the Oval Office today for the meeting. Also Cornell William Brooks, professor at Harvard Kennedy School and former president and CEO of the NAACP. John, first of all, what was it like in the room? What's been the reaction from the South African delegation? Did they expect this?
They certainly thought that something could happen, but I think the way it happened, it really caught everyone off guard. I was, standing right next to the screen, to the big TV screen when they turned it on. And I remember, when they turned around, President Ramaphosa, he turned to Trump and he, tried to say something, and Trump really brushed his hand off and pointed toward the screen. And I was looking at Ernie Els. He had his hands on his hips, just looking totally dejected. Retief Goosen, the other golfer in there, was just staring at the ground. So
I just want to point out that one of those golfers did recount that white South African farmers do feel under attack and that it's been like that for a long time, which is true. They're not going to play that segment, of course, on CNN. I might splice it in here real quick just so you can see what I'm talking about.
My dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer. And yeah, some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going. My brothers run it. But it's a constant battle with farms they're trying to burn the farms down to chase you away. So it is a concern to try and make a living as a farmer, and at the end of the day, without farmers, there's no food on the plate.
Hands on his hips, just looking totally dejected. Retief Goosen, the other golfer in there, was just staring at the ground. So
stop, you lying motherfucker, stop.
They were all pretty flabbergasted because I think they expected maybe they would be attacked, but to have this sort of big production put on, I think that was really surprising.
You're the South African bureau chief. I was in Nairobi this weekend. People in Kenya were stunned that this is happening, that the white Afrikaners are the only refugees getting into the United States.
That is just not true. Like, they are not the only people from Africa getting in. We're letting in tons, thousands and thousands of people in from the Congo, as well as other parts of Africa. So
you lied again.
What is the response in South Africa itself to this?
Well, I think by and large, a lot of people are upset about it because they feel like when you look at the history of the country, when you look at the president of the country, all the stats and data indicate that, obviously it was black South Africans who bore the brunt of apartheid, and in the post-apartheid era, it's black South Africans who continue to struggle in almost every economic measure. If you could look at crime and look at violence, it's black South Africans who are bearing the brunt of being killed. And so,
gee, I wonder why.
And who are they being killed by? They're being mostly killed by other black people. Just like in America, where the highest per capita rate of murder in this country is black on black. And now he's already trying to justify what's going on by pointing to something else bad that happened once in the past.
So a lot of them look at it as sort of a slap in the face and sort of an insult that that white Afrikaners would be the ones who would be singled out for special treatment when they're going through their own very difficult times.
They're not getting special treatment. There's like 50 white Afrikaners that were left in. And see, that's what all this really comes down to, folks. And I'm just going to quickly say this, but it's all about the fact that white people, they don't like white people. People on the left don't like white people. These guys don't like white people. And to them, white people are the bad guys. They are the oppressors. And so any narrative at all where white people are the victims of something, it's like it's not possible in their minds. And so you get what we're seeing right here. It was like 50 people and they weren't even all white. And yet they're having this huge blow up while millions, tens of millions of non-white illegal immigrants have been let in, been allowed to abuse our asylum system, correct? And as well as people from Africa, yet it's these 50 white people really bother them. They say it's special treatment for people who are being targeted. Legitimate, it's not legitimate. They are being targeted by elements of the South African government. We've let them in. Why is that such a problem to these people?
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Brooks, I mean, what message do you think it sends to America and the world when the white U.S. president lectures the black South African president on television about a genocide of which is not happening in South Africa?
It sends a message that the president is continuing to rewrite history, and in so doing, also dramatically and disastrously impact the president. So in other words, what we had in the White House today was a cinematic ambush, if you will.
Oh, he says it was a cinematic ambush. Gee, where have I heard that phrase ambush uttered in the last couple days?
Everyone! To the dramatic scene in the Oval Office today, the tense confrontation, President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
Up next, another Oval Office meltdown, President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
President Trump is being accused of conducting something of a diplomatic ambush of South Africa's president in the Oval Office.
To be with you, I'm Katie Tur. President Trump orchestrated another Oval Office ambush today.
Today, Donald Trump meeting with the president of South Africa and attempting to ambush and humiliate that leader.
To Zelensky territory, where essentially he was a bit ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Felt like an ambush in there, kind of like the President Zelensky meeting in the Oval Office.
This was an ambush. It was orchestrated.
Cyril Ramaphosa brought his best diplomatic self to this meeting, but nothing could have prepared him for this multimedia ambush.
What started as, to some degree, an ambush.
Well, Katie, I mean, it was an ambush.
Ambush.
Ambushed.
Ambush.
An ambush.
Ambushing.
Ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Yeah, clearly the talking points have gone out, and this guy seems to be reading off a script. You'll notice his cadence and the way he's talking. It's like he's reading off a script. He's trying to sound smart and not sounding smart. The fact of the matter is, what does it matter that Trump is a white president talking to a black one? Is that not allowed? See, it's their narrative. The white guys are the bad guys, and the black guys are the oppressed. Automatically. So the idea that a white president would say something, be critical of another president who's black, you can't do that. That's racist.
And in anything but diplomatic attack. And this is reminiscent, if you will, of 110 years ago when the President Woodrow Wilson showed a film called The Birth of a Nation, which was a film that glorified the Klan. So here we have this
oh God
today, which is an attempt to rewrite history.
No, the attempt to make no mistake here. The attempt to rewrite history is what they're doing, because as I'm going to show you here in a minute, the attacks on white farmers, the violence against white farmers is nothing new. It's been going on for a long time. I remembered this happening somehow. I'm like, I remember seeing articles about this as a kid, and I searched, and sure enough, going from the 90s up till like the mid 2000s, around 2012 in there, I'm still finding articles about white farmers being attacked. Now, there also are white people, there's reprisal attacks where white people are killing black people, and that's not good either. But the point is, while there is not necessarily a genocide happening in South Africa, there most certainly is government targeting of white people in South Africa. And that is literally what asylum was meant for.
Back the president. And so the country should be horrified, because the president
horrified?
Literally using both racism, anti-black racism, and xenophobia, and anti-immigrant, anti-refugee hate to not only divide the country, but divide the globe.
They don't have anti-refugee hate. Their hatred of these white refugees, that's not anti-refugee hate. It's the getting of refugees that are white that is the hate. It's racist to accept white refugees that are being oppressed in a black majority country. That's wild.
And what has been made bad and terrible in this country, he's globalizing and exporting in ways that are detrimental to the interests of the United States. And Anderson, note this, South Africa is a very important trading partner, very strategic ally in the region, and the commander-in-chief is doing anything but being a good commander-in-chief.
Oh, like you can say anything you want about Donald Trump. You can criticize Donald Trump, Republicans as much as you want. But if you say anything critical of this black South African president, you have committed some horrible crime. That's the way they're acting. Like, oh, you shouldn't say these things about South Africa. You should let them treat white people the way they want and pass laws in South Africa that target white people. You should allow that because we're trading partners. Right? And we don't want to upset these narratives, because upsetting these narratives of ours that we've been popularizing and repeating for decades now, if those fall, if those get discredited, then we're in trouble. And so you can't have that. Okay, here we go. Now they're going to start justifying the fact that that Donald Trump showed these videos showing South African politicians calling for violence against white people. So now we know those exist, so they have to justify it now.
John, I mean, the U.S. has cut off foreign aid to South Africa, so this is not just something that has no ramifications. The White House, John, sent out a press release tonight citing a number of articles that says back up the president's claims. Your byline is on one of those articles. It's from 2023.
You wrote one of them.
Song fuels backlash in South Africa and the U.S. They're citing the piece, even though you write in that story that they are citing that President Trump and others, quote, have seized on attacks on white farmers to make the false claim that there have been mass killings.
Folks, there have been thousands, at least thousands of white people and the black workers on white farms who have been killed over the decades. So there are people being targeted for their color, and they are being murdered. But Anderson Cooper and these people are doing their best to minimize and downplay it and treat it like it's not happening at all.
Yeah, that article, that's a song that's been around since the apartheid era struggle days. It was born out of apartheid, a time when the black South Africans were fighting a brutal regime. And basically what South African courts have found, they did at one point find that it was hate speech, but later it was found that the essence of the song would not actually incite people to violence. And,
the essence of the song.
Supporters now of the song argue is that you can't point to that song actually leading to violence.
Excuse me. What? Oh, okay. So some people said that a song that says kill the white people doesn't actually incite violence towards white people. Well, then it must be true.
Of course.
I should say the political party that President Ramaphosa belongs to, the African National Congress, they have distanced themselves from the song. So the song is very provocative, and for many people, they think it's inappropriate to sing. But overall, it's been found that it's not an incitement to any sort of mass violence or mass killings.
Yeah, John Elgo, Cornell William Brooks, thank you so much.
Oh, well, that's some fabulous work you did there, Anderson Cooper. Some fabulous journalism. He said some people who we don't even know said that a song that's clearly violent and incites violence towards a specific group of people, white people, actually doesn't inspire any violence, despite the fact that thousands of white farmers have been killed over the decades. Folks, like I said, I don't think what's happening over there is genocide, but it is definitely parts of the South African government targeting white people with violence. So the question is, why is the media working so hard to downplay and yet again call something that has at least some truth to it a conspiracy theory? Let me know what you all think in the comments, and if you're still here, I might as well hit that like button and subscribe. I do post on a regular basis, so make sure to keep checking back for more. Thanks a lot.